and teamwork
makes the dream work. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that's the motto in the classroom is teamwork makes the dream work. So as much as possible, try to make the dream work because you are a team. Hi friends! Welcome back to the Adapted Classroom. So today is a special video. I have been asked to share my 5 tips for building strong relationships with paraprofessionals. My paraprofessionals have great relationships with our students and we work well together, we communicate well together. Nothing would work well without my paraprofessionals. My paraprofessionals are the reason why our classroom runs as efficiently and great as it does. It has been a journey. I will say that my first couple years, it was definitely tough for me. I definitely went home crying a few times just because I couldn't get the relationship between me and my paraprofessionals right. The working relationship wasn't great. The communication was poor. Everything that I wanted to go well didn't go well. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Murphy's Law. I was definitely that teacher Googling, what else can I do with my special education degree? It was that rough coming into working with the people that I worked with because I did not have a great working relationship with them. And it's been some work for myself personally with my paraprofessionals to get our classroom working as well as it does today. So with that being said, I wanted to share my 5 tips for building strong relationships with paraprofessionals and working with paraprofessionals in the classroom. My first tip is to clearly communicate your expectations. I had to learn this the hard way. Paraprofessionals cannot read your mind. You need to clearly communicate what you would like to see happen. And not only communicate, but model. I'm a visual learner. And so I learn best when you pair what you tell me and show me as well. So show me and tell me. Make sure you're modeling and communicating your expectations to your paraprofessionals because they don't have the same experiences you have. They didn't sit through that same lovely PD that you sat through. They don't understand where you're going with this. What is your end goal? So you need just to sit down with your paraprofessional, explain why you're doing the things you're doing, and then model and demonstrate how to do the things. My number 2 tip is to collaborate. So I include my paraprofessionals in the planning process for classroom activities for centers. You see that we do centers every day. I always come up with a theme. Like I know it's important this month that we touch on dental hygiene and Valentine's Day and Black History Month. I know it's important that we cover ELA, math, life skills, assessments, and data. And I throw that out there and I go, hey, this student needs to work on this skill. What ways do you think we can adjust those skills in these centers? What would be a fun and engaging way to do that? And 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, my paraprofessionals will come up with a more fun and more engaging way to present that activity than I ever would. So collaboration is key. Keeping them a part of the planning process is imperative to my students' success. So whether it's implementing IEP goals, behavior goals, life skills goals, communication goals, I know what the goals are. I know what I want the end result to be, but I always include them in the planning process on how to get there. So they help me with the journey of how to get from implementing a strategy to getting the end result. I'm always open to hear ideas, and I'm a firm believer in don't knock it until you try it. So even though I may not think their idea will work, I go, hey, why not? Let's try it. Let's see if it does work. Because if it works, then it's a win-win for everyone. If it doesn't work, then we tried it, and then at least the paraprofessional feels like they are part of the team. They feel like they were included and part of the decision making. And of course that can't happen with everything, but as much as possible, I like to have their input and their opinion and to have that collaboration. My third tip for building a strong relationship with my paraprofessionals, which probably should be number one, but my third tip is to respect their roles. It's important to recognize and respect the paraprofessionals in my classroom. I have quite a few paraprofessionals in my classroom. I'm just thinking about who they are right now. And each one of them has earned more than enough respect. So each one of the paraeducators in my classroom, they all have an education background, which is amazing. If they don't have the education background, they've had more experience in the classroom than I have, which I don't take for granted. I use their wisdom, I use their advice. So I definitely respect their roles. I will never, ever play I'm the teacher, you're the paraprofessional, so what I say goes card. I will never play that card. And anything that I ask them to do or I expect of them, I will also do and expect of myself. So, for instance, my classroom is a classroom of students who have a lot of daily life skills needs. So they have toileting needs, they have feeding needs, they have medical needs, and anything that I ask of my paraprofessionals to do, such as toileting, such as feeding, such as, we don't do much of the medical, we do have nurses on staff, but in the past I have helped with G-tubes, and I will never tell my paraprofessional, you have to do it, you have to change the diapers, I won't. You have to do the G-tubes, I won't. I will never ask a paraprofessional to do something that I myself would not do. And I'm more than willing to get in there and do it myself. So that's another thing. I think the moment you place yourself above someone else and you say, I'm this and that, so I'm not doing it, but you should, because that's your job, is the moment that things start to fall apart. Because no one wants to be in an environment where they're not respected. That just screams disrespect to me. And personally, I was a paraprofessional myself for 3 years before I pursued my education as a teacher. And I can just imagine how disheartening and how heartbreaking it would be for a teacher to say, I'm better than you. We are a team. I have different experience, I have different education, but that does not make me better than you. Like I said, I'm lucky to come from a classroom where all my paraprofessionals either come from an educational background or they have more experience in the classroom than me, or all of the above. And so I take all of their wisdom and I take all of their advice and all of their opinions to heart. At the end of the day, we are all here for the kids. So I respect them and I respect the work that they do. Because like I said earlier, there would be no adapted classroom. There would be the classroom that we have today would not exist without my paraprofessionals. So I respect them and everything that they do. My fourth tip for building strong relationships with paraprofessionals is to provide regular feedback, whether that is positive feedback or negative feedback. Our students thrive off of positive reinforcement. So wouldn't it make sense that the adults in our classroom also thrive from positive reinforcement? Anytime I see one of my paraprofessionals doing something amazing, I make sure to point that out. Hey, Mr. So-and-so, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, hey, Miss So-and-so. Oh my gosh, that was amazing the way you did that thing with that student. I always praise because it always feels good to hear the good things you're doing. And I myself am a person whose love language is positive affirmations. So I know a positive word goes a long way and the encouragement goes a long way. With that, if there is something that I see a paraprofessional doing that I do not like or I do not agree with, I will also say that. In the most kind, gentle, loving way possible, I will say, hey, I noticed you did this with a student. Let's try it differently. let's not do that. I wouldn't do that if I were you because X, Y, and Z. I make sure that it is specific and I make sure that it's actionable. So I'm not going to just say, hey, that was bad. Okay, well, how can I improve upon that? So make sure that it's specific. An example would be, I saw you do the work for the student. I saw you cutting it for him. I saw you pushing the buttons for him. I saw you coloring it in for him. And when you do it that way, all the student learns is that you can do it for them and they don't learn how to do it for themselves. So in the future, even if it takes 5 minutes longer, it would benefit the student if you actually let them try it, if you let them do it. And so let's try to do it that way. Let's try it next time. How about that? Or, is there a reason I saw you cutting out Johnny's project for him? Sometimes it's, oh, he needed to get to the next activity. He needed to. And so whatever the reasoning is, we can discuss it. We can talk about it. We can openly communicate about it. And then we can discuss why it's important for Johnny to do the things on his own and why it's important that we as adults step back and give them that wait time and give them the opportunities to become more independent in those skills. So just making sure that your feedback is specific and it is actionable. So specific, and they can take specific actions in changing their behavior. Not just a negative, like, don't do that. I don't like that. You can't really do much with that feedback. So yeah, so just providing feedback. That would be my, what are we on? 4th tip. My 5th tip for building a strong relationship with paraprofessionals is to make use of their skills. Everyone has a certain set of skills that they excel in better than others. So for example, I dread math. If I could get away with it, I would not even talk about math. I wouldn't talk about numbers. I wouldn't do anything related to numbers. Thankfully, I have a paraprofessional that loves math. So guess who's in charge of math centers? Not me. I'm still in charge of whole group math, but as I mentioned in a previous tip, I collaborate with the paraprofessionals to make math more engaging and more fun. So that way it's enjoyable to teach. And then when it comes to taking data and all of that fun stuff for math centers, I place that in the hands of one of my paraprofessionals that actually enjoys it. Or I'm very creative, but I am not as creative as one of my paraprofessionals who enjoys like themes and holidays and doing all the things and making all the things pretty. And so when Valentine's Day comes around or Christmas or any of the holidays, I allow her to take creative free range and decorate the classroom and think of the fun arts and crafts ideas for the classroom and do all the fun things, because if it weren't for her, my classroom would not be half as pretty if it weren't for her. So there are certain things that I release control over and I give to my paraprofessionals because A, I know they could do it better or more efficiently, and B, it makes everyone happy to do the things they love to do, right? And we can't do the things we love to do all the time. As much as possible, if we get to do the things that we love to do, it makes our job that much more enjoyable. I guess my 6th bonus tip is the mantra in my classroom, which is teamwork makes the dream work. At the end of the day, remember that you are a team. You should all be there for the same purpose, for the success and growth of your students, to see your students succeed, to see them excel, to be their #1 cheerleader, to educate them, to do all the things with the students. So I think that if at the end of the day, your students are happy, safe, and all the good things, then that is what's most important. And so just remember, you're on a team. As much as possible, communicate, collaborate, be there for one another. Always, I say this about our students, presume competence, presume the best out of your paraprofessionals. Maybe they're having a bad day. That doesn't mean that they hate their job and they don't want to come to work and they hate the kids. Like, have a sit down with them. Hey, I noticed you're off today. What's going on? How can I help? You know, we take turns in our class sometimes not having the best day, and we feed off of each other's energy. So if we can just be there for each other and remember that we're on the same team. When we work as a team, everything comes together. When we work as a team, we make the dream work. So this is Sharp. She's one of my favorite paraprofessionals in my classroom. And so I wanted to ask her a few questions that you guys have asked me so I can ask her. So what is your favorite part about working in our classroom?
My favorite part about working in our classroom is coming every day and seeing something new that our kids have learned from us teaching them. Like just our students picking up on things. It's probably going to take us a week, a month, a year, but to see them catch on to it and do it on their own or even with assisted help, that's my favorite thing. That's what gives me the most joy.
That's why you're the best paraprofessional.
Oh my gosh.
What would your advice be to teachers who are having a hard time getting along with their paraprofessional?
I don't know. I honestly would say that's a person by person thing, but I would just say to the teachers and also that paraprofessional, you got to come into this whole situation with an open mind. You don't know everything, we don't know everything, or the teacher doesn't know everything. Everyone's both working together to try to figure out what's best for the students. So if you come in with an open mind and not set that things have to go this way, things change every day, every minute, every second. Something's always different. There is a plan one day or for a week, and then next week there isn't. So you got to come in with an open mind, knowing that things will change, and sometimes there is routine, and sometimes there's not, and it's okay.
There you go, open mind.
Open mind.
And then what would your, I guess that's the same question, but what would your advice be to paraprofessionals who are looking to be in a special education classroom or just people looking to be a paraprofessional? First year
Advice/tip.
There you go.
Your heart will get weighed on. These kids will get, you will get attached to them just as much as they will get attached to you. They say don't have favorites, but everyone does. I don't know, just like I said at the second question, come in with the open mind. Be willing to do something different. Be willing to be challenged, because the kids will challenge you. And it's not in a bad way or a hard way. It'll just be the challenging because it's something so new to you or something you're not used to doing or seeing because their life is so different from yours. So open mind and be ready to see a new world from a child's eyes of things that I would say that you couldn't do, or no, that you could do so easily, but they can't. So be ready to put yourself in their shoes. I would say that.
Here you go.
So that's me.
I love Sharp so much. If it wasn't apparent already. So I guess that would be my tip to teachers and paras is like try it as much as possible just to build relationship first.
Yeah.
Like it might be difficult. Not everyone is on the same wavelength. Not everyone like has the same personality, but just I guess the respect.
Yes.
That's there. Because even if you're not like two peas in a pod, if you respect one another, like
it'll go. Things will go smoothly. And teamwork
makes the dream work. I was gonna say that. I'm gonna say that's the motto in the classroom is teamwork makes the dream work. So as much as possible, try to make the dream work because you are a team. At the end of the day, you're just trying to get your students to do what you know is best for them. Whether that's learning a new academic skill, a new life skill, anything. Like you're there for the students. So at the end of the day, as long as they're safe, happy, and having fun, then I call that a good day.
It works.
Yep. All right.
Out.
Sharp and Rose out.